Thank you guys. All the glory be to God, but can you give this team a hand? They did a great job this morning. Everybody did. Well, good morning. I'm Nathan Rasbaugh. I'm the new youth pastor here at LaGrange Church of God, and I'm just thrilled, excited to be here and just to be a part of this church. And as a youth pastor and youth ministers, we kind of do things a little bit differently. So I'm going to prepare you right now. We're going to do something a little bit different this morning, okay? We're going to go ahead and do a good old battle of rock, paper, scissors. So I'm going to need your guys' participation this morning. You got that? You guys know the drill. Rock beats scissors, scissors beats paper, paper beats rock, okay? But before you guys go and find someone, you need to find your opponent, right? Measure up to them. Ask them what their name is, exchange your guys' names in your favorite color, okay? After you've done that, go ahead and just duke it out. Go ahead and do whatever it is. Rock, paper, scissors, 1, 2, 3, rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Discuss that amongst yourselves. If you win, remain standing. If you lose, take a seat. Sorry, losers, but it's okay. Winners, go find other people standing and keep battling until we got, our final two. Keep getting each other's names as well. So go ahead and stand up, go. Find someone to battle. Make sure once you've won that you advance, move on to someone else, but if you've lost, go ahead and grab a seat. We're starting to get there. Some people still standing. Go ahead and find someone else who's standing. If you're still in, find someone who's standing. Make sure you guys battle. Exchange names, favorite color, get to know them. There's a few still standing out there. Doing good, doing good.
Do the right thing, Heather.
I think there's some battling. There's some battling over there, or is this it? This is it. Why don't you guys come up front? All right, let's have this out. This is kind of interesting too. This is my dad, so kind of pulling for him, a little favoritism there. But okay. Why don't you guys go ahead, battle it up. Oh, it is. Champion. Give it up for him. Give it up for him. Dad, I had no idea you were that good. That's pretty good. All right. Well, for a lot of you, thank you for dressing up for the occasion today. Looking sharp for the Michigan, shirts that I see out there. But I knew I had to get that out of there. But I just wanted to do something fun, get us up, moving around, engaging, get us flowing. And that's just a little bit of my philosophy, and I wanted to share that with you guys because I think a big part of youth ministry is getting students to engage and connect with one another. It's really important every Wednesday night that a student feels safe, welcome, and connected when they come in, because I've been at a service where I've seen a student walk in, not really connect with another student, and have them leave that evening, and I'll never see him again. And that breaks my heart. And I try my best to make sure every student gets connected. And that goes for the same thing with everyone here on Sunday mornings. If someone just walks in, a new family, or just someone new to this church, and all they get is a bulletin and a little hello, we probably won't see them next Sunday, or maybe a few Sundays after that. So it's really important that we welcome in as the family of this church and make sure we're connecting one another. And same thing with the youth ministry. So that's a little bit of my philosophy. I mean, ultimately, my goal is to take all of our students and make sure that they're growing their relationships with people inside this church, outside this church, and with their Heavenly Father. That's my goal. But that doesn't happen unless we get them connected with one another. So that's a little bit of my philosophy of how I like to do things. But I just want to take a moment and tell you guys a little bit more about me and like how did I become a youth pastor. And so I was born in a small town, Brunson, Michigan, not too far away from here. And I grew up in a Christian family, went to church all the time. I really loved my youth group. I really did. I loved the youth ministers that were there that poured into my life and took time and invested in me. I had great parents, as you can see they're right there. But it was really nice to have someone else that I could go and talk to and trust and lean on in those situations. So I just remember being in the youth group and remembering, I want to do this for other people. I want to be this person for someone else in the future. So it was my junior year of summer camp. I really felt called into youth ministry. I felt God calling me to be a youth pastor. So I went to Bethel College in Mishawaka, attended there for 4 years and graduated with a youth ministry and adolescent studies degree. So I was really excited about that, graduated, pumped. Month later, I'm going to get married to my wife, Lauren, so I'm super excited about that. Except when I kind of threw everything down on paper and looked at it, I was like, I have no job. I have no car. I was like, this is pretty bad. So I started calling up a bunch of friends and stuff and did some odd jobs, made some money really quick, and was able to buy a car. So that was awesome. That's step one. If all else fails, we can at least live out of that bad boy for a little while, But anyways, I know my wife probably wouldn't appreciate that, but I start looking into a job, and I start calling a bunch of different churches in the area from Michigan, Indiana, Ohio. Nothing seems to be lining up. Well, I had an internship my junior year at college down in San Antonio, Texas, with this church, River City. And so I called up the pastor down there, and I asked if he had anything available, and they didn't. They just didn't have any job positions open. So I was bummed about that. I kind of felt like that was where we were supposed to start life. But I continued to search Michigan, Indiana, Ohio. And it was about 2 weeks, my wife called me, and she just told me on the phone, I'm terrified to say this, but I think we're supposed to go to Texas. Now, I knew people. I had relationships down there. I liked San Antonio, and all my wife knew were the stories that I told her. She knows no one. She'd have to uproot everything and come with me. And she knew that was kind of the direction God was taking us. So prayed about it. And it was like a couple days after that, Pastor Sean from Texas called me up, was like, hey, do you want to be our youth pastor? I was like, no way. So it was just really cool to see how God just started opening doors. And so we got married, and we packed up, and we moved to Texas. And that's where we've been the last 4 years. And I love being a part of the church down there and the youth ministry and growing that program. I loved it. Loved the time there. Nothing went wrong. It was just about a year ago, right around this time in the fall, God put it on my heart that it's time to go. And I talked to my wife about it, and sure enough, she felt the same. We prayed about it, talked to the leadership there, and we wanted to finish out the school year with the kids, but we ended up moving back up here and didn't really have a game plan at the time. We just knew that's what we were supposed to do, and whenever God tells you to go, you go. And so we were just trying to be obedient. It's been really cool watching God provide for us and just being able to watch him direct us right here to this church at LaGrange Church of God. And I'm super pumped to be here, and this is a great opportunity that I just get to be up here and share with you guys a little bit of my story. And God just really gave me a heart and passion for teenagers. I really do. I love them. I love being with them. And there's something amazing when you see a student just get it and watch it click. And there's a lot going against these students right now. There's so many that are broken, hurt, and we talked about the millennials last week, and there's just a lot of things stacked up against them. There's these stereotypes and qualities of laziness, rebellion, and that just kind of stack up against. I'm part of that millennial group, by the way, but I do see the potential in these kids, and I think that's a big area of focus. So we're actually going to kind of continue and talk about this a little bit more. The person we're going to be reading about in Luke 15 kind of had some of these qualities. So if you guys want to go ahead and open up to Luke 15:11, this person was a little bit rebellious, disrespectful, kind of just ran off. So if you guys open up to Luke 15, we'll start in verse 11. Let me set it up real quick. You have Jesus there with the Pharisees and teachers of the law, and one of them murmur, that's Jesus, the one who eats and dines with the sinners. And Jesus overhears that, being Jesus Christ, and he then goes ahead and lists 3 different parables, all going from something that is lost to being found, and then there's a celebration. We're going to read and talk about the 3rd parable at verse 11. Let's follow along. Jesus continued, "There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father, 'Father, give me my share of the estate.' So he divided his property between them." I want to stop right there before we get going. Back then, this was very disgraceful. What the son is kind of pleading and asking of the father to do. I mean, he's basically going up to his dad and saying, "Dad, I wish you'd just drop dead. I wish you'd be buried somewhere and that I could take this estate. Will you give it to me?" So that's kind of a loaded question. If we read past it too quick, we miss that. The surprising thing is the father trusts his son and gives him the share of the estate. We'll continue reading. Verse 13. "Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off for a distant country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living. After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in the whole country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. When he came to his senses, he said, 'How many of my father's hired men have food to spare, and here I am starving to death? I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired men.' So he got up and went to his father." Now, I want to pull out 3 observations from this passage in this parable, and I want us to kind of talk about them and go over them real quick. The first one that I really noticed and stands out to me is selfishness causes blindness. Selfishness causes blindness. And when I say that, I'm talking about the younger son, and you can kind of see it play out when he starts asking for, his father's fair share of his estate, and then he goes off and he kind of squanders it and spends it here and there, and he's really just focusing on himself. And somewhere along the lines in this story, the son here took his eyes off of his father and put them on himself, and he became a focal point. And that's where you see the selfishness come out. And I just want to read James 3:16 real quick. It says, "For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you find disorder in every evil practice." There you find disorder in every evil practice. You see, selfishness is all about kind of gratifying our own desires. And that's kind of what sin is. And Just to give you guys a visual, I'm very visual, so I got to see, what does selfishness look like? So I got a video for you guys. Go ahead and take a look. There you have it. Not a happy camper. And there he learns the head turn. That was pretty good. That was a good move right there. And there it is again. Picked up on it quick. All right. But we kind of see this play out even at a young age like this, don't we? And when we look at it and we think about it, yeah, we were born with a sinful nature. It's actually pretty easy to kind of focus on ourselves, our surroundings, and kind of lose focus of the bigger picture, and that's God. I mean, it's so easy. We kind of forget in the story. Interesting. It's just so easy to actually lose sight of what we're supposed to be focusing on, and it's easy to sometimes focus on ourselves. Now, this looks much differently. Younger, it's stealing a pacifier, but as we grow into older adults, selfishness can kind of play out in different ways. Pride is sometimes something that we have to overcome. Maybe when we know we're wrong and we need to step down and step back, and it's just difficult to admit that to ourselves. I know the busyness of life. Who's had a busy schedule out there anytime recently? Okay, so you guys know what I'm talking about. It's difficult when your schedules get loaded and things after things and responsibilities after responsibilities, and before you know it, you just feel so busy, stressed. And when that kind of happens, it's easy to sometimes lose focus of where our focus is supposed to be. We take our eyes off of the Father and sometimes put it on our own lives and our own schedules. And see, that causes blindness. Because every day I believe God tries to give us opportunities to share the love of Christ with other people around us. But when we're super busy, sometimes it's easy to just get tunnel focused, and we just see what's in our lives. We have to be kingdom-minded. And it's easy to get stressed and worry, and when our schedules get full and worry, I mean, what does that communicate to God? If I take something and I stress out and I worry about it, that's me saying, you know what, God, I don't think you're big enough to handle this situation. So I'm going to hold on to it. Now, deep down, I think we know God's big enough and can handle all of our situations, but then that's why we shouldn't worry. That's why we need to trust and lean on Him. And it's difficult because I do this too. I was doing it this week. I was getting stressed. Schedule was getting full. I was preparing for today, and it was yesterday. I was kind of telling Lauren, my wife, all this, and she was just like, she kind of just stopped me and said, less of you, more of God. And that should be our prayer. Like, what if we started every morning and woke up and just said, less of me, more of you. Less of me, more of you. How would our days be different? How would we live our lives differently? I think God would show us those opportunities and we wouldn't be blind to them anymore. So I know that's something that God's been working on my heart, and I know I need to keep working on that. Less of me, more of you. That's the first observation. The second observation that I found was the foundation was laid. The foundation was laid. When you see this younger son, I mean, he hit rock bottom. He's at a low point in his life. But Jesus tells this parable in an interesting way to show us how low he actually is. It talks about him working with pigs and swine and even wanting and longing to eat the food after them. Like, that's just a gross image. Like, that's just dirty. We see that. We understand that. But in Jewish culture, that was unclean. to be with pigs. Like, that was sinful. Like, that is how low this person has got. They have hit rock bottom. But the good news is the Father laid a foundation in his Son. He laid a foundation of love and grace, because when the Son hit rock bottom, he remembered. And he was like, I have a Father who loves me. I have a Father who cares about me. What am I doing? I need to find my way back home. And my question to you guys this morning is, how are we laying down a foundation for our kids, for our children? How are we laying down that strong Christian-based foundation for this upcoming generation? And I think it's very important that we focus on the youth, and what does it communicate to them if we decide, we're tired Saturday night, we were out late, we just want to sleep in Sunday morning. What does that communicate to your kids? I mean, it's important for us to come together as a family and worship together and be here with one another and support and lift each other up. Like, we need to show this younger generation the importance of that. What does it communicate to our kids and our youth if we allow them to choose sports and say, hey, you know what? I know there's youth group Wednesday night, but you got a commitment to your team, so you go ahead and do that. But when we look at it, what's eternal? What's long-lasting, and what eventually dies? And I think those are questions that we have to ask ourselves. I'm part of this millennial generation, but I've seen it. I've seen it played out. I think this is a huge problem that we have is bringing up and raising up our children. And it's difficult. It's not easy. I mean, for example, I'm the biggest sports fanatic out there. I just want you guys to know that right off the bat. I'm not hating on sports or anything. In fact, when I first got married and I moved down to San Antonio, Texas with Lauren, it was like the first big football weekend. Like, college football was on Saturday. I remember waking up that morning, turn on TV. I'll watch football at like around noon, the afternoon, had some dinner, watched the Saturday night football game. Sunday next day, went to church, did the duties, came back. Lauren went into the kitchen, started making some food. I went upstairs watching more football. I was like, yeah, this is the life. And she came upstairs and just turned off the TV. I'm like, what is happening? Like, my world came crashing to an end. And she's like, this can't happen. Like, you watched football all day yesterday. Like, I'm a person. I'm here. And I'm like, I know, we're like sitting right here next to each other. We're like meshing, we're talking in between commercials. This is good. And I was coming from a selfish state where I could watch as much football growing up as I wanted. And now I had another person that God had put in my life. And I had to look at the foundation of our family. And now that we have a kid coming in January, which I'm super pumped about, I have to really start looking at the foundation that I want to lay down for my kids. And I don't want their priorities to ever get mixed up because of me or my wife. I want them to know that the church is so important. What Cassie does in children's ministry, she's awesome. She's a great person, and she's just going to help our children in this church, and she does a great job. I'm okay. I'm your youth pastor. I'm going to invest in your youth, your teenagers, and I'm going to love on them. We have a smaller role, but we want to help you guys out. Parents, you have the much larger role. We want to support you guys in this role. We have to work together. So my question is, how are we laying down this foundation? And it's important because we have to. And that gets to our last observation, which is the third one. The Father's love surpasses all understanding. We'll continue reading in verse 20. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with the compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son was mine, was dead, and is alive again. He was lost and is found. So they began to celebrate. Guys, the Father's love surpasses all understanding. Sometimes it doesn't even make sense in our minds how much He loves us. I'm going to ask the worship team to come on up and start getting ready because we're going to close in a song. And while we do that, I just want us to know, no matter where you're at in life, no matter how far away you might feel from God this morning or how close you are to God this morning, know that the Father's love surpasses all understanding. He loves you. He cares about you. He's forgiven you. And His love just surpasses all understanding. So no matter where we're at, we all need to come to a point and realize, God, I need you. Here's my heart. Here's my life. I need you.